Alright, how's it going guys? Deekadiko here and I am back with a lot of banger lists. Today I'll be discussing the decks that you can use to climb right now. I think these are the best decks of the season from what we've seen so far. Of course, these decks, I have to say, like, these decks are not the ultimate best. Over the course of the season, some decks might change, you know, some new best decks might, you know, surface, and you know, like, disclaimer, this is not the final list, like the final ultimate list, but so far I think these are the best decks that you can use to climb right now, the decks with the highest chance of winning. So also it depends on, I should say this also, like, there is not ultimate deck in the game right now, like a deck that could win you every game. These are simply the decks that you can, you know, some good decks basically. And yeah, without further ado, I think I'm just gonna start with the first one, and that's nilfgaard. So nilfgaard, not surprising with the Renfri's nerf. Nilfgaard no longer wants to play Renfri because, you know, people aren't running Renfri anymore, and usually that means that, you know, your Terra Nova won't be copying Renfri anymore. There won't be any like clown triple Renfri gameplay. You cannot put Renfri back in your deck with a seer. So I think nilfgaard just went back to their roots and play a normal assimilate deck. Normal assimilate, I think it's still the best. Although you could change the durability from double cross to imprisonment for extra control, but I think this in itself produce enough points to contest with decks that you simply, like, you don't need to control against those decks, because we have volatile punish with the end of invocation that we could also use to, you know, pull out with Joachim and then essentially play that yoink card by invocation. Yeah, I think it is a pretty standard list. We're only running a one Blightmaker with one Mage Assassin. We're running Lydia, Bribery, because we're running Rune Mage. You could change the Rune Mage and Lydia and Bribery package to something like, let's say Angulame. So the reason why you play Angulame here is because it's really good against something like, against a deck that wants to bleed you in round 2. So for example, if you're up against Siege, usually you're gonna lose round 1, and then after that they're gonna bleed you in round 2 to pull out your leader ability so that you won't be able to play their scenario in round 3, and then, you know, you're just gonna go down in value. You're just gonna lose out of value. You're gonna run out of gas in round 3. So with Angulame, you could prevent that from happening. You just play your Angulame in round 2, copy their Siege, and then, you know, defend the bleed that way. But I think, you know, simply playing the Rune Mage, Lydia, and Vigo combo should be enough to defend you from the bleed, and there should be, you know, enough juice, enough gas for you to be able to compete with a Siege deck in a relatively short round 3, like a 3 to 5 cards round 3. Not to mention the carryover from the Mashit Raffle proccing an extra assimilate trigger. With the Illusionist also, you could use this to spawn your opponent's engine from their graveyard, which is pretty good. And I think I like to tech in one Obsidian Mirror here. I think Obsidian Mirror overall is just a really good card right now. With Larva, with Monster, you can, you know, use Obsidian Mirror onto the Larva. Against Siege, you can use it on their Siege engines. Against scoiatael, you can use it on their the 4 provision elves that spawn another elves. It's sick value with the Obsidian Mirror. And yeah, we don't really need any extra 12 punish. I think one invocation is enough. We should be able to copy opponent's 12 punish with your leader ability. And since we're playing Rune Mage, you know, you're able to see 5 of your opponent's cards in their hands, which is really insane. I'm not running Calvite. I think Calvite is not really that good in the assimilate list. It could sometimes be good. Most of the time it's good, okay, I'm not gonna lie, but when you have Calvite in your round 1 hand and you play it and then you lose the round, in the next round you're gonna get bled out of all of your golds, and that's really not ideal, right? I'd rather just skip the Joachim and pray to the RNGs that we're gonna do the Mashit Raffle or the coup de grace, or any of our high-end golds. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're running 2 Experimental Remedy, and Imperial Diplomacy. Simply because I see that there's a lot of elves decks going on later right now, and you could use coup de grace to copy one Simlas and then use Arto Terranova to copy other Simlas. And then you could play Simlas 2 times, which is insane. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the deck. You're running one Mage Infiltrator here for the just the flexibility of Breathance. Like you could use Emissary, Mage Infiltrator, and Duchess Informant. Overall, I think the deck is pretty solid right now. Should be able to beat most matchups, and yeah, that's pretty much it to say about the deck. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, and now Scoiatael. I think with Scoiatael there are two decks that are really good this season. The first one being Elves, the second one being I think there are like a lot of Scoiatael decks that are good this season. Harmony is making a comeback, but at least right now I don't think it's strong enough to contest in the ladder. It's playing for a lot of value, but it's a scenario deck, and this scenario is a very committal one. The difference between Feign Death and Mysteries of Locthwain is really huge. With Elves, you don't like the value from Elves that you're getting. You don't lose that much value when you play your Elf scenario, because the rest of the deck complements each other so well that playing scenario does not actually lose you that much points. Whereas compared to Mysteries of Locthwain, you value this card a lot more than Feign Death. Playing your Mysteries of Locthwain really hurts your power, your resource, compared to Feign Death. Okay, so for example, when you play, you feel less bad when you play Feign Death run 1 than when you play Mysteries of Locthwain run 1. Because, you know, Scoiatael cards just complement each other so well that you don't, like, there are some arguments that you don't really want to play your Feign Death in a long round 3, because you're just going to overfill your board with your Dead Eyes, and you don't really want that. And the thing is, Elves got some buffs with the Free Company. It's a bandit card that boosts all allied bandits, and simply some of the Elves card got an extra tag now. They gave some of the Elf card a bandit tag, for example the Scoiatael Neophyte and the Deadeye's Ambush, the Elven Deadeye. See, it has bandit. Overall, I think this is a very noticeable buff, a really good buff. This means that you can essentially cheat out the Isengrim. Like, you have 2 Isengrims now, which is really insane. And yeah, the deck itself has a tons of value, a tons of control with the Waylays from Vanadane and Simlas. There's also Row Punish with the Torreveal, and there's some form of control with Yavin and the Bowman combo into a Waylay. And of course, the finisher with Vernociel is not a joke at all. It's tons of points. You can just pew pew pew, and then the opponent's board gone, and then you just won the game. Not to mention, you could also use Vernociel to 2-0 opponents very easily. You're just gonna swarm the board really fast with the Waylay. You're gonna boost the board with Isengrim and the Free Company. You're gonna, you know, damage your tallest opponent's units with Yavin, or their value cards with Yavin, their engine cards, and then you just finish off with Vernociel, and then you're just gonna 2-0 the opponent very fast. So yeah, that's why I think Elf decks are really good this season, with some noticeable buffs, and yeah, overall just a solid package. A very non-committal cards in the deck, and the deck overall has just a lot of value. Okay, moving on to the next Scoiatael deck. I think the second strongest Scoiatael deck this season is the Guerrilla Tactics hybrid list. I think the hybrid list is still very much strong. You're losing some tempo due to the Munro nerfs, I would say. You're no longer able to immediately transform no longer immediately transform 3 of your Rowdy Doors into a Dwarf Berserker, but it's only 1 cooldown, assuming that you have the barricade up. And usually opponent is just gonna remove this straight away. You lock it, they're gonna lock it, or they're just gonna remove it straight away. They don't bother with pinging it into 1. And on deploy, it has 1 armor. Oh, it doesn't have 1 armor. Okay, so it's still fine. Like you have armor, you have something like Dwarven Chariot to give armor to the Munro or the Zoltan, and you also have the Armorer's Workshop. So yeah, I think overall this list still is pretty much strong. It looks like a noticeable, it looks like a huge nerf, but overall the value that it gives, I think, is still like pretty top notch. And yeah, this is the list that I'm rocking right now. We're running one Henge sword. I think Henge swords is really good. Combined with your leader ability, you just move one of your opponent's unit, and then you use your Henge sword to capture that. For example, something like Krach or Bjorn or a Longship, like 5 damage that essentially banish the card. I think is just really good. Yeah, overall it's not pretty different from the list last season. We're running the the dwarfs, the boys, the boys combo with the Simlos Waylay. Running Heatwave here for the Toll Punish. I think Heatwave is a really good card this season. A lot of greedy decks are running rampant on leather, and even against Storm decks, something like Elves, this still plays for some points of value. Like you could Heatwave the Isengrim, or the 4 provision elf that damage 1 every turn, cooldown 2. And yeah, I think this is a pretty solid list. Nothing much to say here. Yeah, and let's move on to the next faction. So the next faction is gonna be Syndicate. Syndicate list has always been pretty good overall over the past few seasons, simply because of the very flexible kit of the Failed Experiment, and that is able to poison any unit on the battlefield with really low cooldown. Not really surprised that it got some nerf. It got nerfed a little bit, not a little bit, it's kind of like a lot, but back then, like last season, it was really good, and I'm not really surprised that they nerfed it. Like this seems like a lot, like a huge nerfs, but in reality this is how it always should have been. Like this is the normal the normal version. This is what it's supposed to be, and what it's supposed to be, but it's really good, right? Yeah, we're running Lane Pockets because I think with Sirinova you kind of just want to go in with the crime package. I believe this list wasn't really anything new. I think we've seen this list running around last seasons with Line Pockets and Golden Necker. I put some of my twist into the deck. We were running Sausage Maker. Some people prefer running Knickers, but I think Sausage Maker is just really good in a crime deck. This has Intimidate, which means that this card gets boosted by 1 every time you play a crime. Not to mention it has Resilience. It's also a spender. It has Prophetry on deploy, so it's immediately 8 points on deploy. If you click the V, it becomes a 10 points if it survives into other round, and not to mention it's also an engine. Yeah, I think it's really good. With the Poison Brother, Roland Bleinheim and Gellert Bleinheim, supporting each other very well. Not to mention that Gellert Bleinheim, your opponent cannot lock this card because it has Purify Self. So that's, this card I think is really good. And yeah, we're running 1 Morels, even though we're running a lot of poisons here with Failed Experiment and Fist Stack. Simply because I think there are some matchups where opponents is going to use Veil, most notably a CULTISTS matchup. Your opponent is going to play Veil units, and then you're just going to sit there and, what do? I guess I don't do anything then. So yeah, running 1 Morels to, maybe your opponent has Purify, maybe they have Veil, or again something like Fuxia. You just Morels that and boom, you're out of here. Get out of here. And yeah, overall I think this deck is really solid. It has a lot of control, a lot of points with something like Townsfolk. It has a decent amount of spender with Eventide Plunder. It has a lot of spenders actually, with Conjurer's Candle being some form of carryover. It has a really great tempo in round 1. You could just play Roach. You could just use your TA to boost tunnel drill, and then you basically have the round, right? If you have blue coin, you just play tunnel drill, you boost it with TA, and opponent cannot do anything about it. And then you go into a long round tree with all of your poison, and then you just, you know, control your opponent's board with a frick ton of poison. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the deck. Very strong, very solid. I highly recommend you to climb the ladder with this poison syndicate list. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is gonna be good old NR. So NR Knight didn't receive any buffs. I don't know why. Like they changed one card, they reworked one card, Knighthood, and that's it. Like no, I mean you could argue that NR Knights has a lot of points already. NR Knights is just so sad, man. In some matchup you try really well, you know, the deck performs really well, but in some matchup they're just straight up not alive. They don't look so good. So yeah, I think for this season as well, a good old stockpile NR is still the best. Nothing much to say about here. You just play mutate generators, spam all of your 5 provision units into your back row in round 1. You don't really care if you lose a card in round 1. As long as you win round 1, you go to a long round tree, and then you just outvalue your opponents with your siege engines, able to dish out some amazing control, amazing points with amazing point slam as well with King Hansel and leader ability. One thing you could put in here is the Radovid. Radovid is really good really good amounts of value with the Hansel, but I prefer to just put in Heatwave. Like, you can change the Heatwave to Radovid, it's really your choice, but I feel like Heatwave wins you most matchups, most notably, as I've said before, the Fukushima matchup against Skellige. I think Heatwave is absolutely necessary against Skellige to, you know, banish opponents' Sigfold. Like, Sigfold is just anti-siege. I don't think like the value from Radovid could outvalue the Heatwave that could be used against Sigfold. But if you're not seeing any Skellige, I highly recommend you to just change the Korathi Heatwave to King Radovid, because it's simply more value that way. So yeah, pretty standard list. I would say that some of the cards that I changed here, there are like almost like 1-to-1 copy from last season, but I changed Radovid and I changed the Tamarian Drummer. Like, people used to run Tamarian Drummer or Boiling Oil, but since we're running a like mutate generator, I don't think Boiling Oil is really that good. And I find myself, when I play Tamarian Drummer, this card didn't perform really well. Like, most of the time you want to develop your engines earlier in the round, your siege engines, to get the value from something like Bombardment or the Bombardment from your siege. So playing Tamarian Drummer as a finisher doesn't really feel that good for me. Especially when, you know, your mutate generator just boosts the Tamarian Drummer all the time. I don't like it, it just doesn't feel good, right? So what I did is that I changed it to a Rivian Pikeman. So this card has not seen any play. I don't know why. This card is an amazing support for siege. People just don't like playing this card. I don't know why. Like, this card is insane. Like, look at this. It's an order, damaging unmuted by 2, so it's already like 6 value for 5, and then that blow reduce cooldown of all units in the row by 1. All units in the row. So that means if you have something like 3 reinforced ballista, so that's 3 extra value from the Rivian Pikeman, and inspired always triggers death blow. You always trigger death blow inspired. This card gives boost. This card gives boost that, you know, inspire your units. Really solid. I think this card could play for an insane value compared to Tamarian Drummer. And so yeah, this card, this list is pretty standard. I don't think there's anything much else to say about this. Yeah, let's move on to the next deck. So, with Monster, I think there's no brainer that Ranfrey is still very good with Monster. Oh, let me change this a little bit. Let's change the Cave Troll and Roach to Rune Mage. Where's Rune Mage? Okay, I'm sorry guys. Where's Rune Mage? Rune Mage Knickers. And one card. Oh, wait, I have Knickers already. Oh, what did I change? Defender and something. It's probably not important. Oh. Roach. I don't think we need defenders that much. Like you could put in Agora or Armored Arcus. Okay, so this is the deck. We're running Rune Mage here for the extra consistency with Renfrey being able to get the blessing, not the blessing, the Curse of Gluttony. Like Curse of Gluttony is just actually made for Dettlaff. It's just made for monster. At the end of the round, you have your Dettlaff sitting at something like 16-17 base power, and then you just play your Renfrey, get the Curse of Gluttony, and then you boost your Dettlaff by what, 17 plus 2, 19 points. That's 19 points plus Dettlaff Regis value. That's tons of points for Point Slam in one card, right? So yeah, the deck has a pretty decent game plan, pretty solid game plan. It has a tons of value with Flatter, but overall the Vampire package is just very good. You could change the Kikimor Worker to something like Flatter, or was it not? It's not Flatter, or Plumber. So I'm gonna go ahead and change it. It feels much better that way. So this is yeah, you have a tons of bleeding, a lot of interaction with your opponent's board, tons of, I wouldn't say it's control, but it's kind of like mid-range, right? It's mid-range. It has a really good point slam at the end of the round. Yeah, this is I don't think like there's much to say about it. We have one Purify. You could change Gale to Lock here. I'm not really a fan of Lock, or you could put in Savior Laments. Like this 6 provision area is pretty much changeable. Like you could change it to anything you want, really. Some people like to play around Doregray. I don't really like Doregray. I'd prefer Gale. Gale is a vampire, so it synergizes really well with Necrot. It's also like 3 damage that could boost itself by however base points, base point of the units that you killed, that you get the death blow. So for example, like when you start at the start of the round against nilfgaard, usually they're just gonna play something like the 8 power 5 provision soldier or Calvite, and then you just bleed the Calvite, and then it takes down. At 3 power you have bleeding, boom, Gale, just like that. It plays for 7 plus 8, that's 15 points of swing, right? 15 points of tempo with Gale alone. Insane card, very insane value. That's why I like Gale more than Locks. And yeah, there's pretty much the same cards here. We're running Renfrey, so we have Renfrey's gang, 2 Flatter, Alp, and the Vampire package. We're running 1 Drowner here for the movement in case we need it, and 1 Squirrel. One thing also, you could just put in Operator here, just change the Queen of the Night to a 4 provision card, and then you change your something like Alp or Gale. You can fiddle with the provision a little bit. I think, I don't think it matters that much. It's really however to your liking, right? And yeah, let's move on to the next, the second monster deck that I think is the best this season, and no surprise here, it's also a Renfrey deck. So yeah, Renfrey I think is the best addition to monster. Like it feels really nice to play Renfrey with monster, especially since most of their cards are like big, tall units, big units with high base power. So the Curse of Gluttony feels really nice to play with that. And also it has some form of control with damage, something like Curse of Envy, Curse of Wrath, or Curse of Pride, right? So Renfrey brings the control to monster decks, or it could also bring an excellent point slam. And yeah, we're running the standard monster list here with a relic package. We're not running this card, Caranthir. We're simply running a naked Koshi, like just Koshi without any boost, without any support. Like I think it's better to simply run Koshi without Caranthir, because since we're running a relic package, most of the time we're just gonna fill our board really fast with Self Eater or the Bloody Mist responding to Yes Get Truth, each on her sides, right? So since we're gonna fill our rows really fast, I don't think Guaranteer is really the way to do it. Not to mention our leader ability also spawn a card, and you know, I think playing 2 Koshi is gonna fill our row really fast. So what I did is I cut the Guaranteer, put in Roach, and I think deploying Koshi with so first the combo is gonna be like you play Sir Scratch a lot, you don't and then you play Koshi, you click the Sir Scratch a lot, and then you play Force of Nature, and that should be enough, you know, enough point slam, I feel. And yeah, there's really nothing much else to say about here. Running of the Early Mistress, Mamuna overall is just a very solid card. We could try and run something like Operator with Incubus, but you know, I think it's just a lot of work. I don't really enjoy that. It's simply running the Self Eater here. We're just gonna click it and place it for value, and not just like in that round value, not carry over. I think it's also really fine. Our Mamuna target, there's a lot of Mamuna target here. You could use it on the Necro Warrior, you could use it on the Self Eater, Gun Cane, Witch Apprentice, a lot of option. Running 2 Orchid Mantrap here to, you know, it synergizes really well with Koshi, being able to trigger its Strife 2 times. Very insane. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like, you could change the Drowner to Lesser Witch. Like, it's your choice, right? You could change one Drowner here to Squirrel, but I don't think like Squirrel is really good this season at all, especially when you know, you come out to something like, as I said before, as I've shown before, the Golden Necker Syndicate doesn't really do that much there, right? Like, I don't think Squirrel is that necessary this season. I really like the card, but I don't think it's, I mean, sure, why not? I'm just gonna put in one Squirrel here. Why not? I like the card. You could put in Squirrel, you could put in Peller. It's your choice, dude. You do what you want. But overall, I think the deck with Renfrey and Relic package is really solid this season. And moving on to the next one. Here we have, oh, it's the last one. Okay, so the last one is Skellige, and no surprise here, Skellige is still rocking the same old, you know, Melusin, Sigfold, Canute combo. Like, these are, you know, this is just the best. This deck has always been consistently the best Skellige deck in Leather for the past 4 to 5 seasons. Simply because this deck has a lot of points. The ceiling of this deck is really high, but the floor is also kind of high. Like, it's a deck that even if you like Unga Bunga, it still pays off really well. But if you like, there's a tons of microplay that you could make with this deck to maximize its value. It's really interesting. But this deck is really good. It has a tons of consistency. It has a tons of control with Canute and Sigfold. It has a tons of points with Sigfold. It has a carryover with Melusin. It's just everything there is of a good deck. You have engines. It's really, you know, I will invulnerable to something like Siege because it's a self-wound deck. A Siege being in nature tries to wound your opponent. That is what this deck wants. Yeah, wound me more, like hit me more. That's what I want. Like, this deck is overall really solid. I really like this deck. Yeah, I mean, by now you guys should already know how to play this. You simply, you know, use your, I guess we could change the TA to a Mask of Ouroboros. And yeah, you should already know how this goes. You play your Svalbard Priest round 1, you play your Melusin round 1, you play some of your value cards round 1, and then boom, bada bing, bada boom, suddenly you have 200 points in a long round 3. This deck is really insane. Like, the control value with Canute and the payoffs is just really huge, right? It's just absolutely disgusting how huge that is. Not to mention, you could reply your golds multiple times with Sidrif's Ride, Fuchsia, and Bride of the Sea. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything to say about the deck. Like, you have Grandmate, you have Restore, you have like infinite amounts of points. Very insane. And yeah, that should be it for the best decks of the season. I hope you guys discovered something new here. I mean, some decks, you know, it's just same old, like NR and skellige, but I think there are some decks that really shine most this season after the changes. Even after the changes, like even after they got nerfed, such as the Golden Necker Syndicate or the Renfrey with Blood Scent. Like I really like the change they made to Renfrey. Renfrey itself, I think, is it's quite a polarizing card, to say the least. It's quite controversial, but I really like the change they made here, so that she doesn't really fly with every deck every faction, but she becomes, you know, a staple, you could say, in a monster deck. You could also kind of like use it on skellige with Melusine, right? That could be kind of funny. You just play Melusine and then you boost it. It gets like 30 something value to Melusine. Like there's some fun combinations with Renfrey, but I'm glad that she's not as broken as she used to be. And yeah, with nilfgaard going back to traditional assimilate, I won't really be surprised if Cultists actually makes it to like the best deck, like the tier 1 of this season. The deck itself has gotten a lot of buffs, but I still think that it's only like provision buffs, right? Overall, the way you play the deck doesn't really change. The way you play your scenario doesn't really change, or it hasn't been developed. I think it hasn't really been developed the optimal way to run to play Cultist. But the deck has a glaring weakness in that it requires its Cultist to live, and it's really hard to do that, right? It's really hard to make them stick to the board in this control infested meta. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the best decks of the season. If you guys enjoyed it, thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know what you think down in the comment section below about all this decks that I've compiled. And as always, I appreciate you guys so much for sticking until the end of the video. And yeah, see you next time. Bye. Alright, one thing I forgot. So I'm gonna announce the 700 special 700 subscribers special giveaway. Today is the 17th of August, the last day of the giveaway, and we managed to hit 700 just in the nick of time on the 17th of August. My goal initially was to reach 1k subscribers for this challenge, but unfortunately we didn't manage to hit it, but it's fine. I slacked off a little bit during the couple of weeks. I slacked off for like 2 weeks. I didn't upload any video, but that's fine. So thankfully we hit 700 subscribers, and for that I want to give a special thanks to some of notable subscribers that I've seen. I feel really grateful towards, right? They comment, like some of them comments a lot on my videos, giving tons of support, tons of positive thoughts on my video. They gave out very constructive criticism that I really appreciate a lot, like shaping how this channel, how you would like to see me the video, whatever. But anyway, as a token of gratitude, I want to especially give the rewards to them. It's not via roulette. There won't be any spin-off wheel kind of thing. I'm just gonna mention their names here. So if you're one of them, go comment on this video, tell me what you want, add me on Gwent, and I'll send the prize to you immediately. The rule of the prize is still the same. You can only select $10 or less worth of Gwent vanities. And yeah, so the person that I really appreciate most, I mean, not to say you, like, if you're not being given the giveaway prize, not to say that you didn't mean anything to me. Of course, your comments, I value your comments as much as them, but I see their effort in, in giving appreciation. It's like that. It really means a lot. When I lost motivation, but it's more of like when things aren't always smooth sailing, right? There's some hard days, there's some rough days, but seeing their comments and reading their messages really cheered me up a lot, and I want to thank them personally for it. And so with the pretense of giving them the 700 subscribers giveaway prize, here are the names. First, Fabio Rodriguez, of course. Last time you missed the giveaway chance. I'm sorry, you missed the giveaway chance and you didn't manage to get the thing, the giveaway prize. And yeah, really appreciate your support, dude. Your words mean a lot. Like, I saw your, like, dude, you must be like so smart that you put in the little things that I do on the video, like you put it in your comments so that I know that you actually watch my video. It's just so good. Like, yeah, you're cool, dude. You're cool. Yeah, Mr. Fabio Rodriguez, tell me what you want from the Gwent store right now, and yeah, I'll send it to you. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. Anyway, that's it for the giveaway. It's finally over. It's like I had planned to like extend the giveaway like until I reach 1K indefinitely. Like, the giveaway will be active for as long as I hasn't reached 1K, but that will mean that I won't ever reach 1K, right? That will be funny. But yeah, the giveaway event over. Like, not to say that it's, you know, it's just completely over. There might be another giveaway chance at in the future. Maybe, who knows? Maybe after 1K, there's gonna be like 2K subscriber special, 1.5K, even like maybe 1.2K. You know, I just want to show my appreciation to towards you guys for supporting the channel. And yeah, I just want to say that. Oh god, it's been 5 minutes already. Okay, I won't be too long here. I won't be taking your time for too long. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your supports. It really means a lot to me. Like, when I say it means a lot to me, it really means a lot to me. Because I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you guys watching. If it for you guys like seeing your comments, dude, like kind comments. It's just like that. It feels really. It feels amazing. It's not like ego stroke, okay? You're not stroking. I don't. I promise. I don't get off to that, to those kinds of comments. But anyway. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you guys so much for sticking until the end of the video. And yeah, hope you're all doing well. Bye bye.
Human take time.